DDE inversion problem. Okay, now so that's DDE is an example of a metric that can be attached to an objective, and the objective is very clearly measurable through that metric. There are other metrics, or there are other objectives, excuse me, that where we have to get a little bit more creative about the metrics, and it's a little more subjective. So, for example, think about this objective: providing critical information during the project. So we want to know how good of a job are we doing, how effective are we at giving project team members the information that they need to make decisions in terms of our test results, right? So the metric here, stakeholder satisfaction with the test results reporting. And the way that we have done this for a number of clients on assessments is ask the stakeholders to react to 3 statements. And when I say react, I'm talking about react on a 5-point scale ranging from strongly agree down to strongly disagree, okay? So strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. The 3 statements are, I understand the test results reports. That's clear, right? I mean, if we're giving reports to people and they look at them and they're like, do I have this the right way up? You know, they're turning it over and they're looking at it like, it means about the same to me no matter how I look at it. Well, they obviously don't understand the test results reports, and we're not doing a good job of delivering information, right? I mean, this is like delivering a newspaper in Chinese when the audience doesn't speak Chinese, right? So that's not good. Test results reports are based on data tempered with the proper amount of judgment and interpretation. Now, this one is a little more subtle, but what I'm after here with this is I don't want, as an assessor looking at a test team, a situation where there's a lot of what I would refer to sarcastically as proof by assertion, right? Project, or test team, or test lead, or test member goes into his project status meeting and says, product sucks. You know, why? I don't know, we just think it sucks. It has a lot of bugs, right? I mean, that's proof by assertion. You're basically going in there and it's your opinion. You're making an assertion. You're daring people to disagree with you. And my experience with that is it's at best very little value add. At worst, it's extremely counterproductive and antagonistic and builds bad relationships between developers and testers. So we want to try to keep the opinion to the side and use data, but you also need to analyze that data. You need to provide some analysis and insight because the data is not always entirely self-explanatory. So that's what I mean by tempered with the proper amount of judgment and interpretation. That the opinion of the stakeholders is that you are helping them interpret and understand the information, but you are not cramming your opinion down their throat. Okay? And then the last is test results reports include the information that I need to guide the project to success. You know, ultimately, you give people information they can understand, and you can give people information in a way that they perceive as balanced and neutral, and that's good. But if it's not information that they need, you've failed, right, in terms of the information delivery. So you really want the reaction to be strongly agree to all 3 of these things. I understand it, I accept that it is a balanced presentation, and I can use the information to make smart decisions. Anytime you identify a situation where somebody, one or more of the stakeholders is saying they're neutral or they disagree or, God forbid, they strongly disagree with one or more of these statements, you have an opportunity to improve your test dashboard, your test results, and one that the more negative the impression is, the more urgent that opportunity is, the more you want to get on top of that. Okay, now, so some people, when I say risk-based results reporting, they say, oh, you know, okay, I understand every single word that you just said, but I'm having difficulty visualizing what that would look like. So let me give you an example of this. This is explained, this graph is explained in a lot more detail in my book, Advanced Software Testing Volume 2. I talk about results reporting, and it's also going to be in an upcoming webinar on test results reporting. I think it's in December, but it might be November. Anyway, this is a way of boiling down your results to one nice, tight little pie chart. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to try to measure what the residual level of risk is. And we're going to say, you know, we can classify the risks into 3 buckets. The green bucket is the risks for which every test that is scheduled to be run has been run, and they've all passed. And there are no known must-fix bugs associated with those risks. So that's the green wedge here. Okay? The red wedge says, okay, these are the risks where we've run some of the tests, maybe not all of them, maybe just some of them, but maybe all of them. But we've run some tests, and at least one of those tests has failed, or there's some other must-fix bug that's known associated with that risk. And notice that I'm talking about associated with the risk, so there's the element of traceability coming up here, right? I need to be able to trace my test cases, test case results, bug reports back to the risk items in order to be able to do this. Yeah? So the coloring scheme is fairly obvious, right? Green means these risks are in the green. We're good to go on these things. To the extent that these needed to be tested, we've tested them, there aren't any problems. The red risks are, we've done some testing here, we know there are problems. Now the black risks are the ones where we're still in the dark, and the black risks are basically all the other risks. And what that means is there are no known must-fix bugs, and there are no known test failures associated with these risks, but there are still tests left to be run, right? So if we finish running a risk, all the tests for a risk item that's in the black wedge, and all those tests pass, then that area of the wedge associated with that risk goes into the green wedge. If we're running the tests related to a risk in the black wedge and one or more of those tests fail, or we find some other must-fix bug associated with the risk, it goes into the red wedge. Now, as time goes along, this is the time of the test execution period here, moving along the bottom. As time goes along, we would hope that the picture would become like the one on the right, where the green has basically driven out the red and the black, right? And basically that's saying, you know, most of the risks are in the green zone. Now, you say, oh, well, then the project doesn't end until everything's green. Well, it could be. But really what you can do is you can go to management with 2 lists, a black list and a red list. The red list are those risks that have a known must-fix bug and or a known failed test, right? And you can tell them, these are the risks, these are the bugs, these are the tests that have failed. The black list is, these are the risks and here are the tests that we haven't run yet. As soon as management is comfortable with the red list and the black list, in other words, they say, you know what, we can accept these risks and go live with these risks. These are acceptable risks. Then you're done, right? And so that's when I'm talking about results reporting that enables smart decision making and risk-based results reporting. That's what I'm talking about. We're able to communicate to management in a language that they understand. Okay, so why are clear objectives a best practice? What are the benefits? Well, clear objectives provide a clear definition of success for the test process and the test team. It's not opinion, it's not reacting to the latest adventure or whatever crisis might have broken out. It's a fact-based way of measuring goodness of testing. It will give us guidance in terms of areas of process improvement that might be required. Right? If we are underperforming in one or more key objectives, we know that's where we need to focus our process improvement. And it helps us have uniform and realistic expectations across the different test stakeholders. So we've got agreement, negotiated,